Well, I sustained a permanent injury through staying for so long. And then the stress of all of that, once I left, because I had a 2-year custody court case after that, the stress of that set off a relapsing and remitting chronic illness, which is lifelong. My disability meant that I could not fulfil my dream of nursing any longer, so I was a staff nurse at a local hospice, and I had to give up my career. And the long-term consequences for my son, who's 12, is that he has post-traumatic stress disorder. And I, didn't realise that children could have PTSD, and yes, they can, and it's horrible, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And we're 6 years free now, and he still has the nightmares and the night terrors, and he's still worried that Daddy's going to hurt him, because sadly Daddy's never said sorry, and Daddy has never been able to admit what he's done. I think it's very difficult, because when you've been disempowered in a relationship for however many years, you really don't think that you have the ability to kind of make it different for yourself, or you don't think that you have the strength. So when I look back now, I kind of describe myself as being a shadow. I was living in a shadow, I wasn't kind of living as a person. I found pregnancy quite stressful. It was meant to be a kind of really joyous time, but it was quite stressful because it became quite clear very early on that because my attention was on the baby growing inside me, my ex-husband didn't like that, so he would do things like he would make himself sick in any room in the house, so I'd have to clear it up. He would then go to bed and not go to work for the week, so I would have to find extra shifts. I was a nurse at the time, to make up the extra money, and he would just demand my attention constantly. So at that point there wasn't anything physical, but I'd get random texts at the beginning of the day saying things like, "I can't believe you've done this to me," and then I wouldn't know what he was on about, and he wouldn't answer his phone, he wouldn't answer his email, and so I'd be left all day wondering what on earth I'd done wrong. And then he'd walk in through the door and just go, "Oh, it was a joke." But to me that wasn't funny, because I was worrying all day about what had happened. And it was like treading on eggshells, and he was very, very paranoid. So if I went out and I was in Sainsbury's and another man looked at me, it was because I was dressed the wrong way, or I was holding my bump too much, or something like that. So it was very hard to kind of focus on me and the baby inside me. And he was adamant right from when I'd conceived that he would not believe the pregnancy was real until I'd given birth. So I kind of felt very on my own as well. And obviously when you're kind of flooded with pregnancy hormones, and you're kind of happy one minute and kind of really floods of tears the next, and you don't quite know what's happening, and then I'm trying to cope with this person who is very demanding of my attention one minute and then will completely isolate me the next, and didn't want me going out with my friends or socialising or anything like that, because obviously I was pregnant and I had to take it easy. And I kind of thought at the time, oh yeah, I am pregnant, I do need to take it easy, but actually I lost a lot of friends through that, and I lost a huge support network. So by the time it came to giving birth, there was kind of almost like an exclusion zone around me, if you like, which was really, really difficult. With me it escalated quite quickly, and my husband was constantly threatening to commit suicide, and I guiltily stayed because I thought, I don't want my child growing up without their father, but there was also the threat to my life and my son's life. And at the time I was kind of thinking, I can do this, I can manage it, I can work it out. My husband was under the mental health team but refused to engage with them. And then a child was killed at my son's infant school as a direct result of a contact order. And on the way to pick my husband up from work one day, my then 6-year-old turned around to me and said, "Mummy, when am I going to go and live in heaven like my friend did? Because that's what Daddy keeps telling me." And that made my blood go cold. And then I just thought, what are you doing? Why are you staying here when your child is clearly... And up until that point, my son was 6 and he was being physically hurt, but I thought I was managing it okay. And it wasn't until I'd left that I realised that actually I wasn't. And the long-term effects for us, I hadn't realised until I'd left that my son and I didn't have the bond that we should have done, because there was always somebody in the way. There was always someone preventing that relationship. There was always someone standing right in the middle of the two of us. So we have a lovely relationship now, apart from when teen hormones kick in. For me, my route out was I contacted Women's Aid. They put me in touch with the local outreach service, who gave me an outreach worker. who met me, and they were fantastic, and it was decided in my case that actually it wasn't safe for me to stay where I was. So I had made the decision to leave, and I'd gone within a matter of days. And if that's the route for you, if you have to get out quickly, that is the most dangerous time, really. So it's really important that local services are aware of you, and there are services up and down the country. I'm kind of very much of the opinion now that I didn't have a voice for 10 years, and I might not be able to walk properly now, but I can speak, and that's exactly what I'll do. Since I've left, I've done a lot of training on domestic violence, and I now I'm an educator on behalf of one of the county councils, and that's been quite an eye-opening experience for me, really, because I kind of look at it now and I think, gosh, why didn't I do something sooner? But when you're living in a situation like that, you have no idea of the effects, A, on yourself, and B, particularly on an unborn baby. When you feel really downtrodden and really inadequate and you haven't got a clue what's going on, that actually you can still grow. And I used to liken it to I was a bit of a caterpillar and I was in a bit of a cocoon, and once I was in the right environment I kind of flourished, and I never knew that was possible, and I didn't think that would be possible through what I was experiencing. But actually, yes, my marriage broke down, and yes, it wasn't salvageable, but I'm a much different person now, and I've grown a huge amount, and I'm a lot stronger, and life is very good.